Hello, it's Mark here from Make 'Em Yours, and today we're doing something a bit special. I have Australia's leading weight management psychologist with me, Glen McIntosh, and we're going to be talking about how to find confidence at any size or shape with your body in dating. We'll see you in just a second. All right, welcome guys, and today we are talking confidence in your body and how to have it at any size or shape. Now let me tell you a little bit about this guy. Glen McIntosh is Australia's #1 weight management psychologist. He's been featured on The Biggest Loser Australia. He works through all the mindsets and all the stuff with the contestants on there. Glen, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I think this intersection between our areas of dating, weight, body image is one that's so important.
Isn't it? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now I've got Glen on here to answer a question that's coming from a client of mine, and I think this is going to really help you out there. So the question comes from Sarah, and Sarah says, every time I go on a first date, I have in my head they are going to think I'm not skinny enough, and she says, will I ever find love? How can I overcome this? So Glen, I wanted to bring you in because you are the expert in this stuff. Now you must get this a lot with your clients. You must hear this a lot. What's the first thing you say to them?
The first thing that I say to people is it's really the other person's choice whether they think you're attractive enough or not. You know, that's kind of how dating works, isn't it? It's you decide how attractive you think they are and whether you want to spend more time with them, and they decide how attractive you are. So my first thought is don't make that choice for them. Yeah. If you do, you're kind of potentially creating this self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I know clients who, they go through their Tinder profiles and they won't swipe right on guys that they think won't swipe right on them. It's like
so
hold up.
they're jumping the gun.
They're jumping the gun and they're making that person's choice for them. So you're really limiting yourself and creating that self-fulfilling prophecy of your own fears coming true.
Right, okay. What about, because there's also the concept of physical versus non-physical attraction. How do you balance those out with your clients? Because there's obviously a lot of aspects to attraction that are non-physical. So what do you say to your clients about that?
And it's just like you say, Mark, you know, we're constantly encouraging our people at Weight Management Psychology, even though everyone comes to us for their weight and their body image, to kind of zoom out from just looking at that and consider themselves as a whole person. And as you know, there are so many elements to being attractive
that aren't physical based. There's so many other things, right?
Absolutely. You know, if you see someone, like two people, they kind of look the same, but one walks with confidence and is self-assured, that's attractive. You know, I work in a sort of an academic space. So I see sometimes some, professional academic women, and you think, wow, they're so smart. It's like your brain is really attractive. And
so valuing all those things.
Absolutely. So don't dumb those things down, or don't dampen them down, or don't ignore them just because you think that you don't measure up on that physical attractiveness.
Yeah, right. Okay, so in terms of weight, this is something I really wanted to address with you. In terms of weight, what does the science really say about the effect it has? Is there, because there's all sorts of theories, people get beliefs in their head. What does the science actually say about weight and its effect on dating?
Well, it's really interesting, and I think you with your audience is the same with me with mine. We want to give you the reality, and we want you to be empowered from the reality. And the unfortunate reality is that, of course, as a lot of us know, weight bias does exist. So there is a possibility that that person does think you're too big for their liking, or not the right shape for them.
Weight bias? Can you just explain?
Yeah, weight bias is sort of a how do I say it apart from weight bias? It's, weight bias is that, this idea that thin is better, fat is worse, in all senses. Fat is, less attractive, fatter people are not as intelligent. And so we do see this, unfortunately, in society, that people are a bit biased against bigger people. So it is possible that your date may feel this way. But at the same time, we actually see a lot of research to show that a lot of our perceptions, if you're not very comfortable in your own body, a lot of that actually exists within your head as well. So it's quite possible that you're kind of making a lot of it up as well.
I was going to say bias could exist at any weight, because I know there's plenty of guys who are super turned off by skinny women, right?
You can get this at, I definitely think bigger people don't have the market on body image issues. You can have body image issues at all shapes and sizes, and unfortunately in Australia, as in a lot of Western countries, there is with that thin ideal, what we call a normative discontent with your body image, which means it's normal for most people to not like their body. So this is something that that people of all shapes and sizes will tend to experience.
Yeah, so it's something so many of you will go through, no matter, like Glen says, what your shape or size. I guess what we want to come to is, what does someone like Sarah need to do? How does she now overcome these thoughts? If she comes to you, what does she need to do? What does she need to think to have confidence in her dating now?
Yep. Well, I suppose the first point is, like you said, these thoughts are normal. So there's no need to beat yourself up for having these thoughts. And I'm sure that if you're having them, you would love to stop them. And I would love to stop them for you. But they're kind of...
It's a habit, right?
It's a habit.
It's a big habit.
Exactly. Your thoughts are your habits, just like your actions. So when you're going on these dates, if you've got these concerns in your head, then they're probably not going to go away. But as you can appreciate, it's not a good third wheel to have on your date. It's going to suck your own confidence, take away from all
the other stuff, all the non-physical stuff.
Yeah,
and you have to offer,
and it's going to affect your interactions with the person that you're dating. You know what it's like when someone's a bit in their head about something else; they're not really there with you. It's bad for a whole number of reasons, but you probably can't stop it. So what I want you to do is just imagine that it's like a little bit of background music that you don't quite like too much. So you can't kind of necessarily switch it off, even though you'd like to. But what you can do is you can just tune out a little bit and focus on all of the elements of this date that you're on.
Okay, so being present, think of it like maybe music you don't like in a coffee shop, you get through it, you tune out that voice, that background sound.
Yep.
Right.
Now, one thing I've got to say, you just reminded me, is that, when you're on a date, obviously if you it means a lot to your audience to be on a date, and some people will be, naturally you're nervous on a date anyway. If you've got these extra concerns about your body, it's probably going to be pretty challenging to do that sometimes. So what I want your guys to try is to try doing this whenever you have a body critical thought. So almost think of like your dating is like the game. You want to practice these skills, because it's a mental skill. We call it diffusion or distancing from your thoughts, or mindfulness of your thoughts. Psychologists, we like to have a whole lot of big words.
Fancy words,
yeah, totally. But yeah.
This is why the dating coach is here to simplify everything.
That's why your videos are heaps shorter than my videos. But yeah, for that, you won't be able to necessarily, what I was going to say is, it'll be challenging for you to do on the date if you don't practice it. So you can just practice it every day. Whenever you notice a body critical thought, you go, oh, this doesn't look good on me, I'm too fat, or I can't go to that friend's event because everyone's going to judge me. Start to just imagine that that's like a little radio show that's playing in your brain. And like you say,
get on these thoughts all the time.
On these thoughts.
Don't wait for the date.
Exactly. Don't wait for the date, because then everything will be going on and you'll stuff it up badly. You want to actually practice these, so when it comes game time, if you will, then you're really good at it.
Yeah, right. And can you share very quickly maybe a success story from your own client, maybe relating to a negative belief and how she found love?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a great story that I think is really funny. It was this lady, and she was very determined. She had a 2-step plan. She was going to see me to lose 40 kilograms, and that was the number was burned into her brain. 40. I'm like, I'm trying to talk to her about, balancing out. We don't know how your body's going to respond to all of the plan that you're doing, and she's 40. And then she was going to, step 2 was she was going to see someone like you and then find love. But it was a very 2-step process.
Step 1 first, then step 2. Right.
But the man of her dreams, he kind of foiled all of the plans. And when she was at 20 kilos, he somehow helped her overcome these boundaries that were in her head.
Right.
They fell in love. And shortly after, she finished therapy with me.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really good example of how her plan for what she needed to be in order to find...
Wasn't reality.
Wasn't reality. Yeah.
These are such good thoughts, guys, and really take these and what Glen has talked about today and apply them, because this guy is literally the #1 expert in Australia in this niche, so we're very lucky to have him on. I'll just add one little thought from myself just to finish. One of the ironies of being a dating coach is that a lot of women come to me unhappy with where they're at. And they come to me and they say, Mark, I feel like at this stage in my life, I expected that I would have someone, I would have found love, I might be doing marriage and kids, etc. But I haven't done any of that. And I feel shit because I feel like I'm down here. And you know when you meet someone, when you meet a man who loves where he's at, who's happy with his life, who's just comfortable right where he is, that's so attractive, right? Whereas when you meet a man who's totally unhappy, or Glenn, if you met a woman who's totally unhappy with where she's at, it's a turn off, right?
Sort of like you can feel the energy.
Yeah, because we reciprocate each other's energy, and when you meet a man or a woman who has a vibrant energy, who loves where they're at, we feel that positive energy, it reflects to us. And so one of the biggest things with my clients is I get them super happy with their life, loving where they're at, and they go from here, which is this unhappy place, to here, which is where, okay, I'm experiencing positive emotions and they're attractive to men. One of the biggest things in a client who first comes to me is valuing and loving that single life. Because when they're there, they radiate to all men. I wanted to make this last point that the same is going to apply with your weight. If you're walking around saying, I should be here, I should be supermodel skinny, I need to do this to attract a man, and I feel like I'm not, the entire time you're experiencing negative emotions because of this gap. You and I both know, and Glenn, you would know as well, there's plenty of bigger women who do very, very well in date.
The reality is
you were telling me about a 55-year-old client of yours who's absolutely crushing it.
I've got a 55-year-old client who's just jumped onto the dating scene very recently, and I know that she is actually surprised. She's like, Glenn, I've got all of these interests, I'm going on all of these dates, these are really, for lack of better words, better quality people than I thought would want to go out with me. And she's almost like a deer in headlights when she tells me about it, but she's like, this is happening. Yeah.
And a big function of that is she's now happy where she's at. So guys, I would end with this. Ask yourself, what do I need to do to be happy with where I'm at right now? Because just like the unhappy single versus happy single scenario, you've got to say, what do I need to do right now with myself to be happy with where I'm at? So the first, examine your expectations. Go, are they obscenely high? Do I have completely unrealistic supermodel expectations? Maybe there's something like a physical disability or something else going on where you're like, these expectations are just unreasonable. And this isn't about betraying your values or anything. This is just about taking a step back and really examining those expectations. And you might say, actually, I'm a pretty healthy weight. I'm good. My expectations are way too high by society. And then you're going to feel good again because you're actually here. Or you might say, you know what, my expectations are maybe a bit high, or maybe you value health a lot and you're saying, no, my expectations are okay. If I'm honest with myself, I just need to get on the horse and raise my standards for myself. And examine both these factors, because one way or another, your standards and where you're at, as long as they exceed your expectations, you're going to be happy and you're going to resonate that with men. And there's lots of bigger women who apply this. So, you might, if you're trying to change your expectations, you might spend time around women with really positive weight beliefs and positive expectations as it relates to their weight, because you'll adopt those beliefs. You might do research on what really is a healthy weight. No, actually, I don't need to be supermodel skinny. A healthy weight genuinely is just down here. Or, you might see someone to work on your mindset. You might see someone like Glenn or myself to work on your mindset. Or maybe if you want to change your standards as well, maybe you say, okay, I need to set up my environment for success. So one thing I have clients do is, hey, if you want to get up to go to gym in the morning, leave your phone on the other side of the room, leave your alarm on the other side of the room, have that thing blaring. I used to be exhausted after work, and so I knew I didn't have the energy to go to the gym, but I'd drive there and I'd literally fall asleep in my car. And when I woke up, I'd be like, well, I have no excuse now. I have my stuff, I'm at the gym, there's no way I can not do this, right? Maybe you want to bring in a professional, maybe you bring in a dietitian or an exercise, a PT to help you out. Whatever it is.
Because I think that, at whatever weight or shape you are, if you're out of line, if you do value your health and moving well and eating well, they're things that are important to you. If you're not in line with them, then
it. Yeah. And that's where you go, okay, my expectations, maybe they are superficially high, or maybe you go, actually, no, I do just really value my health. I need to get my stuff together and take some serious action. And that's ultimately the only thing that's going to make me proper happy, is living in line and beyond with those values. So, have a think about that, guys. Apply replay this video. Apply the logic that Glenn's told us about here. Take action on this, and really think about, what do I need to be happy? Do I need to change my standards? Do I need to shift my expectations? Do I need to do a little bit of both? Glenn, thank you so much for being on here. Subscribe to his channel. Guys, go and check it out. Subscribe on there. I'll put the link in the description, and there should be a little card for it up above as well. I'll see if I can do that, but it'll definitely be in the description as well. So make sure you subscribe to his channel, go and check out his stuff. Like I say, #1 weight management psychologist in Australia, featured on The Biggest Loser. He helps all the contestants there. So we're extremely lucky and extremely grateful to have him on here to address these beliefs. And Sarah and the rest of you, I hope you got a lot out of this. Thank you for being on here, Glen.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate
I've gotten a lot out of it.
I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like if you did, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below. I'll even see if I can get Glen to respond to a few. So comments below, questions below. I'm sure he'd be happy to come on and answer a few questions from you guys. Thank you for watching and we'll see you very soon.
Good luck guys.